Read the title of the failure on the engine warning display. Observe the amber IDG low pressure on the ECAM electric page and the amber IDG1 fault light on the electric panel. These indications mean that there is insufficient oil pressure in IDG1. ECAM action requires us to disconnect the IDG. Begin ECAM action by raising the IDG guard. The guard has been raised. Now disconnect the IDG. Caution! Press the IDG push-button switch until the generator fault light comes on, but not more than 3 seconds, to avoid damage to the disengaged solenoid. Generator number 2 has automatically taken over the generator number 1 load through the AC tie bus and is now supplying the entire electrical system. On the ECAM electric page, an amber disconnect has replaced the previous low pressure, signifying that IDG number 1 is now disconnected. The IDG number is shown in white to indicate that engine 1 is still running. Let's look at generator 1 indications for a moment. GEN in amber means generator 1 has abnormal parameters. 1 in white means engine 1 is still running. 0% load in green means that the load is still within the normal range. 0 volts in amber means that the voltage is outside normal parameters. Amber X's means that there is no frequency sensed. The amber fault on the generator 1 push-button switch means generator 1 is not supplying the system. On the ECAM electric system page, galley shed in white has illuminated, indicating that the system has automatically shed galley equipment to decrease the load on the remaining generator. After review and confirmation, clear ECAM. The status page is now displayed. A green message advises us that the APU generator is available as a backup up to flight level 390. Using the APU would restore the galley power. In the INOP system column, generator 1 and the main galley are listed as inoperative. After review and confirmation, clear status. ECAM complete. Screens normal. The system display has reverted back to the cruise page. On the engine warning display, read the title of the failure. Observe generator and load indications in amber on the ECAM electric page, indicating that the load is abnormal. Galley fault light illuminated on the electrical panel, helping you to locate the proper switch. The galley will be switched off to reduce the load. Notice that there is no fault light in the generator 2 push-button switch because the generator is still powering the AC bus 2. The first ECAM action calls for the galley power to be switched off. Turn off the galley power. On the ECAM electric page, note that galley shed indication has appeared. Generator 2 load is back to a normal value. After review and confirmation, clear electric. The status page is displayed for review. The only inoperative item is the galley. After review and confirmation, clear status. ECAM complete. Screens normal. The system display has reverted back to the cruise page. This is a serious failure which results in a master warning. Normally, AC Bus 1 supplies the following: the AC Essential Bus, DC Bus 1, which in turn feeds the DC Battery Bus, the DC Battery Bus, which normally feeds DC Essential. If AC Bus 1 is lost, these buses become unpowered. When power is lost to either DC bus, the DC tie bus relay automatically closes and repowers the dead bus. In this case, both DC1 and the DC battery bus are repowered by TR2 through DC2. However, with the loss of AC Bus 1, AC Essential and DC Essential both remain unpowered. The most noticeable consequence is that the captain's PFD, ND, and the engine warning display go blank. Since the captain has no instruments, he should give the aircraft to the first officer and perform the ECAM himself. The EWD and the ECAM checklists are now displayed on the lower ECAM. The first item is the autopilot. It can be cleared either by clicking twice on the autopilot disconnect on the side stick or by using the clear key on the ECAM control panel. For this exercise, use the clear key. Clear auto flight. The first item, autopilot, has disappeared. Looking at the remaining lines, we can see that the AC Bus 1 fault has led to AC and DC Essential Bus failures. The first blue line in the procedure tells us to switch AC Essential Bus from AC Bus 1 to AC Bus 2. This will repower the AC Essential Bus. At that point, AC Essential will power the Essential TR, which will in turn repower the DC Essential Bus. Note the amber fault light in the AC Essential feed switch. This amber light is also telling us to operate the switch. Perform ECAM action. The amber fault light has now been replaced by a white alternate light. This means that the AC Essential Bus is now powered by its alternate source, AC Bus 2. After a few seconds, the captain's PFD and ND and the EWD are recovered. The ECAM electric page is then automatically redisplayed on the lower ECAM. Both Essential buses are now recovered. AC Bus 2 is now supplying the AC Essential Bus, which in turn is powering the Essential TR. The Essential TR then powers the DC Essential Bus. In normal operation, the Essential TR is unpowered. Although it is labeled, the box symbol has no parameters listed. Now that it is in use, it's showing both volts and amps. As long as these parameters are in the normal range, they will be displayed in green. Should one or both become abnormal, the display will change to amber. The only bus which remains unpowered is AC Bus 1. Listed on the right side of the EWD in the memo area are those systems affected by the loss of AC Bus number 1. At this point, you will clear the electric page. Clear electric. Normally, at this point you will start to review the ECAM pages relative to the secondary failures: avionics, ventilation, hydraulics, fuel, and flight control pages. However, we will bypass the rest of the procedure since those pages relate to different systems. We will now study the electrical emergency configuration. As there are a lot of events which happen at the same time in the aircraft, we will present them in a sequential order. Let's assume we are in flight and no previous faults have occurred. The RAT automatically extends if both AC buses 1 and 2 lose electrical power above 100 knots unless the aircraft is on the ground. As you can see, the first consequence is that the power supply for the first officer's PFD and ND, the captain's ND, and the lower ECAM is lost. The SOPs recommend in such a case that the captain will fly the aircraft, while the first officer does the ECAM action. First, let's look at the sequence of events regarding the various electrical configurations during RAT operation on the A320. During RAT extension, Battery 1 powers AC Essential through the static inverter. Battery 2 powers DC Essential directly. The shed buses are not powered. After the RAT has extended and the nose gear is up and locked, AC and DC Essential and AC and DC Essential shed buses are powered. On the 320 only, when the gear is extended, the RAT generator drops offline, and the batteries again power AC and DC Essential. The shed buses again are not powered. Note, on the 319 and the newer 320s, the RAT generator remains powered even after gear extension down to 125 knots on the ground. On the ground below 100 knots, both batteries automatically connect to the DC battery bus. Below 50 knots, AC Essential is no longer powered, and the CRTs are lost. Only DC Essential remains powered, providing communication capability. We will now look at cockpit and ECAM indications during the emergency electrical configuration. Observe that the red RAT and emergency generator fault light on the emergency electric power panel is illuminated. This means that the emergency generator is not yet online. The light has extinguished, and the emergency generator is now supplying the system. Notice that the captain's ND has been restored. Several important items are restored with the operation of the emergency generator: the captain's ND, MCDU, DME, ADF, and the transponder. The first line on the EWD deals with the autopilot. To continue with the procedure, you must first clear this line. Clear autoflight. Read the title of the failure. The red Emergency Config title means that you are in an electrical emergency configuration. Note the red message in the memo portion of the ECAM: Land ASAP. Both generators have been lost. The only electrical power available right now is the RAT and the batteries. Therefore, it is recommended that a landing be made with reasonable haste. Note the minimum speed of 140 knots with the RAT extended. Below this speed, the RAT will stall, leading to the aircraft being supplied by batteries only. The first action is an attempt to reset the generators. The reset has not been successful. Before continuing, let's review the ECAM system. Should any one ECAM screen be lost, the priority is to the EWD. Let's review how to access an ECAM page when the lower ECAM is not available. An ECAM page can be displayed on the upper ECAM by pressing and holding its associated push-button switch on the ECAM control panel. The switch must be held, otherwise the display will revert to the engine warning display. Call the ECAM electric page. On the electric page, note that the emergency generator supplies the AC Essential bus, the Essential TR, and the DC Essential bus. By releasing the ECAM electric push button, the engine warning display is again displayed on the upper ECAM. Because the generator reset was not successful, we must continue with the procedure. The next item requires us to switch off the bus tie. Continue ECAM action. Switching the bus tie off segregates the two sides of the system. In this manner, a short circuit can be isolated, thus allowing at least one generator to be reset. The procedure then calls for another reset of the generators. Again, the reset of the generators has not been successful. Since the next steps concern other systems, we will stop here and look at the indications on the right side of the EWD. Notice the amber nav, flight control, and auto flight system titles. These systems are also affected by the failure. Their related procedures are stacked after the current one and will appear with the completion of the emergency configuration procedure. Notice also the secondary failures concerning cabin pressure, hydraulic, and fuel systems. There may be other secondary failures that are not yet displayed, since there is an overflow indication, green arrow. We will now jump to the end of the emergency electric procedure to show how the secondary failures can be viewed. The list of secondary failures is visible. Since the lower ECAM is not available, you must manually call the ECAM pages associated with the secondary failures on the EWD. Press and hold the related key on the ECAM control panel, ECP, in the same way that you previously called the ECAM electric page. We will now assume that all the ECAM pages of the secondary failures have been reviewed. When you cleared the last failure, the memo section was restored to normal. Note that there are now 5 memos that serve as reminders about systems that do not normally operate in this manner. In particular, the green RAT OUT memo message confirms that the RAT is no longer stowed, and the green emergency generator memo message indicates that the emergency generator is supplying the system. If the RAT should stall, for example, at low speed during the approach, the emergency generator is no longer powered, and the supply is automatically transferred to the batteries. Note that the emergency generator indications have disappeared. Because the battery discharge current is high, the indications are displayed in amber. The batteries feed the DC essential bus and, via the static inverter, the AC essential bus. Note that both buses are labeled in green, indicating that they are powered. Both shed essential buses are automatically depowered, indicated by the amber shed indications below their respective buses. If a dual electric failure occurs, the RAT is automatically deployed. During the RAT extension, about 5 seconds, the electrical system is powered from the batteries. The approximate flight time on batteries only is 30 minutes. If the RAT fails to extend, a specific message appears in the emergency electric procedure telling you to manually extend the RAT on the emergency electric power panel. First, raise the guard. The guard is up. Now extend the RAT. After a RAT extension, if the emergency generator is not working, the red fault light stays illuminated on the RAT and emergency generator indicator. This failure causes the aircraft to be powered only from the batteries. The approximate flight time on batteries only is 30 minutes. Should smoke be detected in the avionics bay, the amber smoke light illuminates on the Generator 1 line push-button switch. A master caution and an ECAM procedure are also triggered. When the Generator 1 line push-button switch is pressed, Generator 1 is disconnected from AC bus number 1 and is connected directly to a fuel pumps bus, which powers the number 1 fuel pump in each main tank. The avionics smoke ECAM procedure leads to the shedding of the main buses. In this case, the electrical system configuration is the same as in emergency, except for the fuel pumps, which remain supplied.